Dear friends, very good afternoon. This is Commander Sudhir Kumar from my YouTube channel Pulse Beat of India. Once again, I am touching upon a very important topic, that is economic frauds. Today, I would like to tell you that which are the accounts those have been declared as economic frauds, especially the famous cases. After that, I will touch upon the biggest NPA accounts, how they should be termed as economic frauds. The first of all, let me start with that is Mehul Choksi. Mehul Choksi was dealing with the diamond trading, and he had taken loans from nationalized banks near about 6,000 to 6,500 crores, and after then he fled the country and he was declared the uh, he was declared as a fugitive economic offender, and then government is trying to bring him to India to face trials. However, ED, Enforcement Directorate, has put his property as a test, and some of his property have been disposed of as well after the court proceedings to recover money. The second in line comes Vijay Malia. Vijay Malia took loans worth near about 9,000 to 10,000 crores, and then he is staying in London, UK, United Kingdom. Court cases are going on to bring him to India to face trials. However, he did a very swift action that Enforcement Directorate not only attached his property but his shareholding in companies and his properties in Goa and Bangalore have been sold off in order to recover the bank's dues out of him, or the shareholders' dues out of him. Then next in line comes, that is Nirav Modi. Nirav Modi again. He was involved in diamonds trading, and he is also fledged country, and he is also declared that fugitive economic offenders under the Fugitive Economic Offender Act. These are then after that is that is Sandresa Brothers. They were running a biotech company, that is Sterling Biotech Company at Surat. Nikhil and Chetan's wife Preeti. They have also gone out of country, and I hope the latest news is that they are staying in Nigeria. Once again, ED took very swift action, and not only attaching their properties in India and abroad, but they have sold off the properties to recover loans. They have taken loans worth near about 14,000 or 15,000 crores. That is also, they have caused the economic fraud. Now, next in line, the biggest economic fraud comes to light, that is AVG Shipyard. AVG Shipyard was a company to make ships, and supposed to be considered very successful company. It started operating in 1995, and the kind of an orders which they have implemented, not only making merchant ships and some small ships, medium class of ships, but they have made some ships for Indian Navy as well as Coast Guards. But what happened when the recession of world over was taking place in US in 2008? The company was not having new orders as the merchant trade globally was affected. However, the company was thinking to change the line of business, and they started taking huge loans from a consortium of bank, and this consortium bank of was near about 28 banks. And it is a surprise that it's not only the private sector banks, but the uh, it's not only the nationalized banks or public sector banks, even the private sector banks, they extended huge loans to this company, ABG Shipyard. And there, what they did after 2008 onwards, that they took huge amount of loan and then siphoned the loans and did round tripping of funds, creating shell companies in tax haven countries, and then they rotated this money, and finally the money has gone to all shell companies. Those were controlled either by the promoters or very close relations of the promoters. The all these economic frauds, what I've talked so far, they were all using different tactics of, having round tripping of funds. But the most surprise factor is that how such big loans were extended by these not only nationalized banks but the private bank as well. As I said, to ABG Shipyard, ICICI Bank had an exposure of 9,000 crores. After that, in line is IDBI, which is now a private bank, has extended loans worth near about 4,000 crores. Then it was SBI, which extended near about 3,500 crores. And there are so many banks in consortium, which is formed by 28 banks. The same was the case, which was the Stirling Biotech company owned by Sanderson Brothers at Rajkot, Surat, and they also took loan from many banks. That, every company is having the audit done every year by some chartered accountant firms, and before taking loans the bank have to ask a sort of a forensic audit, and they were having directors, independent directors, and even a director nominated by Reserve Bank of India. And then such kind of an huge loans are not extended by at least the permission approval, not only by RBI in the government but in private banks, the permission of managing director or chairmen of these banks. And ICICI Bank now is in bad light, extending loan not only to ABG Shipyard but to Videocon also. And they have been, Indra Kocher, who was chairman of ICICI, has been booked and had gone to jail as well. And so, what I am trying to bring it out, that all these loans, those were extended mainly in UPA time, but even continued some loans, especially ABG Shipyard, till 2016 by the banks without even carrying out forensic audit. It was a surprise. Now the case have been registered by CBI and the cases have been expedited by the Persian government. But today, what I am going to recommend is that if you look at NPAs, the major NPAs, those were there, that out of 500 companies which had NPAs, because very huge amount of corporate loan was extended during UPA time from 2008 to 2014, and all these loans those were extended to corporate have run into an NPAs which was near about 10,500, 10 lakh and 40,000 crores, and it was a huge colossal amount of NPAs because huge amount of loans without any accountability, rather, having this daylight bank load of public sector banks, PSBs. What I would like to recommend that every NPA is also is sort of an economic fraud. So rather than waiting the resolution under IBC, and rather banks waiting for that this kind of an economic fraud comes to light, which had been a duration of near about 48 months to 56 months, which is a huge time. We must have a mechanism that so that these economic frauds are detected. But what I would like to say that every even NPAs should have been considered as an economic frauds because they also took huge loans. Now coming to the things that as everyone is telling that the loans have been waived off or written off, they have been written off from the, especially in respect of NPAs against 12 major accounts and other accounts. They have been written off from the books of banks, considering the bad loans, but they have, the recoveries are being made. even in one case, the Supreme Court, Honorable Supreme Court has allowed that it should be recovered from the personal guarantee. But what I would like to recommend to the government and to the lenders, especially the PSBs, public sector banks, that they must go to Honorable Supreme Court with a PIL that all these trusts where the money, when they did this siphoning of funds and rotating funds through shell companies, finally that money has come to them. Either they have bought a properties through black money outside the country, or they have put this money into the children trust or family trust, which is not liable to return the lenders money. So what I am requesting all these lenders, the consortium of lenders, that they must go to Supreme Court, file in PIL at the earliest, so that even the money which has been deposited into the family trust, which has been put in different countries into the family funds or children fund, that should be recovered, because ultimately the promoters have taken these money from different banks by duping them, doing something with the balance sheets, or showing excess amount of invoices maximum, is the round tripping of funds. Round tripping of funds straightway could be dealt under PMLA, and when it is dealt with the PMA, then certainly if recoveries are not made, all these people, those have done massive amount of economic frauds. They have played with the taxpayer money. It is not the government money. Some people are talking about the loans have been written off of the order of 10.5 lakh or 11 lakh crores. No, it's not true. It has been written off from the balance sheet of banks. It could be recovered. And I said that now, as Honorable Supreme Court has already allowed, that their personal guarantee could be invoked and money could be recovered from there. So even the family trust or any other instruments, if they have done, that must also be put up to Honorable Supreme Court in order to recover this money. But all these, even NPA accounts, rather than treating them under IBC, and then waiting for near about 5 to 6 years to have a resolution, and then having these resolutions, having deep haircuts for the public lenders, public sector banks or lenders, ultimately this money is not even of banks, it is the taxpayer money, honest taxpayer money. And my dear friend, it is the taxpayer money which is going in writing of the loans of the corporates. So it has to be recovered. So that is all I wanted to give you an information about the economic frauds, and with an request and recommendations to the government of India, how even NPA could be considered as economic frauds and how the money could be recovered out of them, or the guilty person, whomsoever is involved in this, extending the loan even from banks, because it's not only the promoters, it can't cheat just like that, can't take such huge amount of loan just by one person. As I said, even in a company, you have a CFO, you have the directors, you have independent directors, you have CMD, you have managing director, MDs, and then when you go, you have even in the independent director appointed by RBI, then there is a chartered accountant company, and then there is a lawyer company to represent you, and then every year has to be a forensic audit, and then these loans are extended to everyone involved in a chain, and finally these loans have been extended on the directions of top notch politicians of that time, especially in UPA time. That also needs to be investigated under what circumstances these loans were extended, and everyone in that promoters who have taken such loans must be brought to the book at the earliest. Thank you very much, gentlemen. And till then, again, I'll be back on this, my favorite topic, that how I'll now be talking next on other accounts of economic frauds and how these economic frauds are still taking place and what is the solution to deal with them. Thank you very much.